Welcome to CAST, Training and Technical Assistance Teams Toolkit for Social Service Providers on Screening for Trafficking. Please take time to read about how we select and use terminology in this video. As service providers, we screen potential clients to see if they are eligible for our programming. For some, that eligibility is tied to serving specific populations. This tool is meant to help social service providers quickly see whether or not they've identified a potential victim of human trafficking for the purpose of program eligibility. This tool was adapted from two validated screening tools, TVIT, or Trafficking Victim Identification Tool, and QYIT, or the Quick Youth Indicators for Trafficking Tool. Both are linked in the description below. Please note that if you serve homeless young adults, the QYIT tool may be a better, faster screening tool for use. There are 3 points to keep in mind when using this tool. First, this tool focuses on identifying potential victims of human trafficking while also bearing in mind the need to protect privilege and confidentiality for survivors. Unlike attorneys, many social service providers do not have a protected, privileged relationship with their clients. This can create potential problems down the line if too many inconsistent details about the trafficking situation are shared and documented. Check out our Airtable on privilege and state linked below to check if your role is considered privileged in your state. Ultimately, this screening tool assumes an unprivileged relationship, which means that details shared between the social service provider and the survivor are unprotected and discoverable if their case goes to court. Because of this, the screening tool uses broad questions and asks providers to obtain yes or no answers to minimize oversharing of details. Second, this screening tool uses the federal definition of severe form of trafficking in persons to determine likelihood of trafficking having occurred. If a program's eligibility threshold adheres to a different definition of trafficking, this tool may not be the best fit for that program. There is a difference between identifying someone as a victim of trafficking as opposed to a potential victim. For many, identifying an individual as a potential victim of trafficking is enough to begin services. However, if potential victims wish to pursue certain legal remedies related to their trafficking, most will need to talk to an attorney who will conduct their own legal determination of whether the client is a victim of trafficking according to the law. It's important to be transparent with your client that this legal determination may or may not align with your screening for trafficking. Lastly, this tool is meant to quickly help providers determine whether their client is a potential victim of trafficking. Quick access to resources can make a big difference for survivors who have critical unmet service needs but must wait for a long time to be seen by a legal service provider. After survivors gain access to stabilizing services, service providers are encouraged to connect their clients to legal service providers for a more comprehensive legal assessment. The questions are split into 3 categories. Positive responses or check marks in all 3 categories need to be collected in order to determine likelihood of trafficking having occurred. Here are some practice tips for using this tool. Read through the questions ahead of time. These are not meant to be asked in any particular order, so do your best to select questions that make the most sense to ask, given what you know about the potential survivor so far. You don't need to ask every question in each column. Ask the most relevant sounding questions first. Once you get a yes answer in one category, move on to the next. However, don't forget that a person could be a survivor of both labor and sex trafficking, and not necessarily at the same time. Remind the potential survivor about their privilege and confidentiality when you explain why you're using the screening tool. Gathering too much information may be problematic down the line, and knowing when too much is too much can be difficult. Avoid asking open-ended questions. This sounds like the exact opposite of what we are taught to do when conducting intakes, but do your best to keep them as yes or no questions. Steer clear of adding follow-up questions that will elicit detailed information from your client. If there is confusion around a question due to complicated circumstances, ask the potential survivor if they would like to stop the screening and wait to talk to an attorney for a more privileged and protected conversation. Lastly, after going through this screening tool, if you believe you likely have identified a survivor of trafficking, we encourage you to follow up with your client about getting connected to a legal service provider for a comprehensive legal assessment, especially if they express an interest in pursuing legal remedies related to trafficking or other general concerns around legal issues. Thanks for watching. Check out additional resources that have been linked in the description below. Use our technical assistance request form, also linked in the description, for any questions you may have about this toolkit.